Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in the world on the 25th of May of 2026. Today we have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine. First we will discuss a statement that was made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. The attack on Starobilsk has exhausted patience. The Russian armed forces are starting to systematically strike at Ukrainian defense industry enterprises in Kiev, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. The Russian Federation recommends that foreigners leave Kiev as soon as possible, and its residents not to approach military and administrative infrastructure facilities, the Minister of Foreign Affairs reported. According to a statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Russian Federation will strike both at decision-making centers and command posts in Ukraine. So this is the final warning, which means that the Russians, starting on the 25th of May of 2026, will begin bombing and attacking not just ammo depots, warehouses, post offices. The Russians will hunt Zelensky and his inner circle. The Russians will hunt the headquarters of Ukraine and the inner circle of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Tserkva. So the real and total conflict has begun. Now let's discuss the situation in Ukraine, and during the previous 24 hours we received lots of very interesting updates about the Oreshnik strike that took place yesterday. We have already discussed some updates during the previous video, but during the day we received additional updates on this matter. Once again, yesterday the Russians attacked the city of Bila Tserkva with the Oreshnik missile system, and during the previous day we received lots of updates on this matter. So this is the Oreshnik system that hits the settlement of Bila Tserkva, and during the previous night, during the night between the 23rd and the 24th of May of 2026, lots of videos were published on this matter, and this one is the most interesting video that was published during the previous night. Here we can see an Oreshnik missile strike. We can see this in the bottom left corner. So these are the Oreshnik system. These are the submunitions that the Russians used to attack the territory of Ukraine, and later several sources reported that this video was made from the territory of the city of Donetsk, which means that the Russians wasn't filming anything from the territory of the city of Bila Tserkva. The Russians were watching, or the author of this video was watching in completely different direction. So right after these statements were published by different sources, several media and several sources began reporting that the Russians during the night between the 23rd and the 24th of May of 2026 use two Oreshnik systems, but not as a one Oreshnik system. And during the previous 24 hours we received a very interesting article, because some people managed to geolocate the position of a viewer, so a place where this video was made from, and this is the place where the video was made from. So as you can see, according to geolocations, according to different things, according to different details that the sources managed to find during the video, it was found that somebody from the city of Donetsk, from its southeastern part, was filming the second Oreshnik strike. And according to the angle of the video, according to different things, it was this source managed to find the direction where this author was watching. So according to his position, according to all these small details, several sources came to conclusion that the position of a viewer was watching in the northern direction towards the city of Kharkiv and towards the city of Belgorod. So now let's return back to the map, and once again, according to the strike that everybody have seen during the previous days, the Russians were attacking the city of Bila Tserkva, which is located to the southwest of the city of Kiev, and this is the city of Bila Tserkva, and this is the city of Donetsk. So as you can see, this is the northwestern direction from the city of Donetsk. But the sources that managed to geolocate the second strike, or at least the direction of the second strike, reported that the viewer was watching in the northern direction. So basically from the city of Donetsk, something like this, and this is the triangle of view of a person who was making a video of the second strike with the Oreshnik system, which means that the Russians, as a result of the first attack, attacked the city of Bila, Tserkva, and during the second attack, the Russians hit something along this area. So we don't know for sure, and currently nobody knows what exactly the Russians attacked in this triangle. This could be the city of Drushkovka, the city of Kramatorsk, the city of Slaviansk. This could be the city of Izum. This also could be the city of Chuguyev, and probably even some positions along the line of combat contact. Everything that is located inside of this triangle could be a target for the second Oreshnik missile strike. But there is another very important detail about this attack, and the thing is that, as you can see, according to this map, according to this triangle, according to this picture as well, we see that this attack, this triangle, is located to the west of the city of Starobilsk. So I would like to remind you that several days ago, Ukrainians attacked the city of Starobilsk using 16 drones, and as a result of attack, the Ukrainians destroyed a college, and the Russian sources about casualties among civilians up to 20, the number is 21 about the casualties. And after this attack happened, after this attack took place, the Russians promised a retaliatory strike, and the Russians attacked the TH Ukraine with at least 2 Oreshnik systems. So as you can see, the city of Starobilsk is located to the east of the triangle of the second Oreshnik strike, and it seems that most likely, based on this configuration, all these positions, we can make a conclusion that most likely the Russians attacked a decision-making center which was responsible for the Starobilsk attack. So this is probably like this, because the Ukrainians, when they were attacking the city of Starobilsk, they didn't launch drones from the Kiev region. They didn't launch drones from the western parts of Ukraine, or not even from the Dnipro region. Most likely, when the Ukrainians were attacking the city of Starobilsk, they were launching their drones somewhere from the Kharkiv region, so somewhere from here. This is the shortest way, and the drones can get to the city of Starobilsk very fast, without resistance, without problems, and without any, let's say, resistance from the Russia's air defense forces. So most likely this is the territory of a launching site that Ukrainians use. So that is why most likely a headquarters of this group that was responsible for this attack is also located somewhere here. So which means that probably the Russians between the nights between the 23rd and 24th of May of 2026 attacked a decision-making center or headquarters of the armed forces of Ukraine that was responsible for the attack that took place in the city of Starobilsk. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 24 hours, we received lots of very important updates worth attention. And of course, the most important updates are coming from the Zaporozhye direction, where the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Dobropasove. And you know that it's not just a breakthrough of Russians, it's something like a huge scandal and huge disaster between pro-Ukrainian sources, because now it's very difficult for pro-Ukrainian sources to explain how exactly the Russians managed to get the city of Dobropasove. Of course, as of the evening of the 24th of May of 2026, lots of different stories, lots of different theories were prepared and created by pro-Ukrainian sources. One of them is that the Russians sent their sabotage and reconnaissance groups that managed to break through, to cross all the settlements, villages, strongholds, temporary deployment points, and many other different fortifications of the armed forces of Ukraine to answer then the settlement of Dobropasove, almost in the area of the city of Pokrovsky, and to raise at least 3 Russian flags. So this is the theory that pro-Ukrainian sources are spreading in the internet, but telling the truth, I'm not sure that this is the situation. It seems that the Ukrainians haven't managed to take all these territories under complete control since the beginning of the February counteroffensive operation. As you can see, I'll explain to you. So let's take a look at the map, and you will understand everything what I'm trying to tell you. So as you can see, this is the line of combat contact. This is the configuration of the front line. And the most important thing that there are three colors, basically yellow color, the color that means that Ukrainians have strong control over these territories. We have red color, which means that the Russians have strong control over the territory, and we have a white color, which means that this is a gray zone. What does it mean, a gray zone? This means, according to this map, this means that this territory was either under control of Russians or Ukrainians, and either the Russians or Ukrainians had strong control over this territory, but later this or that reliable source stated that without proofs, without geolocations, without videos, reported that these territories were recaptured by an opposite side. So this is the situation. And if we rewind updates, let's say till the on the 31st of March of 2026, we will see the line of combat contact during that date. So this is the 31st of March of 2026, and this is the gray zone that was added to the map based on the reports that were published by pro-Ukrainian sources without proofs. So since 31st of March of 2026, we haven't received anything that could allow us to color this territory as the territory and the complete and strong control of the armed force Ukraine. We just received dozens or hundreds of reports published by different pro-Ukrainian sources that the Russian front line collapsed and the Russians were forced to fall back from this area almost till the city of Rostov-on-Don, but without proof. So that is why we haven't adjusted the map. Let's rewind a bit back, let's say on the 1st of February of 2026. So this is the map on the 1st of February of 2026, right before the beginning of the Ukrainian major counter-offensive operation. By the end of the 31st of March of 2026, pro-Ukrainian sources reported that all these territories that you can see right now colored as with white color were recaptured by the Ukrainians completely, and the Russians were forced to fall back. And almost till the 24th of May of 2026, the map hasn't been adjusted at all. So this is the situation by the end of the 24th of May of 2026, as you can see, which means that since the basically since the 1st of February of 2026, February, March, April, May, so almost 4 months, we haven't received even a single video from this area that can confirm that indeed these territories were recaptured by Ukrainians. And today we have first changes, but this time we have changes in the Russian favor, because pro-Russian sources, and of course the most important thing that despite all these statements made by pro-Ukrainian sources, of course during all this period of time the Russians were denying the Ukrainian counter-offensive. The Russians were always saying that there is no counter-offensive from Ukrainian side, or there is a counter-offensive operation, but all attacks were repelled by Russians. The Ukrainians suffered huge losses, and the Ukrainians were forced to fall back. But the pro-Ukrainian sources were saying that during these counter-attacks, the Ukrainians were able to improve their positions. And today we have this video when Russians were raising flags in different parts of the settlement, and of course, based on this video, we adjust the map. We adjust the map, and we adjust not just the settlement of Dobropasove, we have adjusted everything to the south of the settlement, because now we have proofs from the north, and we haven't received even a single proof from Ukrainian side from the south. So which means that all these territories were captured or recaptured by Russians these days, and it seems that the Russians continue advancing. As for the settlement of Dobropasove, we need to understand another important thing. There were three flags raised through the settlement. The first one in the southern part, two more in the northern parts of the settlement. So these are positions of Russian flags. So as you can see, according to even this configuration, the front line, the Russians raised their flags just in 1 kilometer from possible edge positions of the armed force of Ukraine to the west, and just 600 meters to the north. Which means that this is impossible. This is impossible to raise a flag when the positions of your opponent is just 600 meters. Which means that if you raise flag here, most likely there are dozens or hundreds of drones flying over you, trying to attack you. Which means that most likely, and we think that due to these videos, very likely that the front line goes somewhere else. Probably, and according to my understanding of the situation, the front line in this area may go around this red line. So which means that there is a safe and buffer zone on the territory of the settlement of Dobropasove, where Russians were able to raise their flags without any risks, without any problems from the Ukrainian side. Which means that Ukrainians neither have strong control, withdrawn control over the territory, and most likely the Ukrainians probably don't have even strong control over the settlement of Pokrovsky, and most likely the clashes for the settlement of Pokrovsky are underway. Another important thing, another important detail, I would like to remind you that several days ago the Ukrainians announced evacuation of the Chaplina micro-region of the Dnipropetrovsk region. So this territory, the Ukrainians are evacuate this territory, and of course, as you can see, the settlement of Chaplina in this territory is located to the north of the settlements of Pokrovsk, Alexandrovka, and Dobropasove. As you can see, there is a river of Volcha that goes in the northern direction. This is the river, and we understand why the Ukrainians announced evacuation of Chaplina, because they understand in most likely the days of Pokrovsky are numbered, and if Russians take under complete control the settlement of Pokrovsky, of course Russians will continue offensive operation further towards the settlement of Chaplina. Now the Ukrainians are trying to prepare themselves before the beginning of this major battle. If Ukrainians lose control over Chaplina, this might be something like a breakthrough with very bad and problematic consequences for the armored forces of Ukraine. Another important area is the pockets to the east and the southeast of Dobropasove. We are talking about this pocket, and we see that the Russians began creation of a cauldron for this area without any chances for Ukrainians to escape this situation. I would like to remind you that also since the beginning of April of 2026, we receive lots of updates that currently there are very heavy clashes on the area between the settlements of Voskresenka, Alexandergrad, and Lisne, and furthermore, according to reliable pro-Russian sources, according to the same sources that published the video from the settlement of Dobropasove, the Russians are fighting on the Ukrainian side of the river of Volcha in the area of the village by the name of Lisne. So according to these updates, according to the situation, we see that the Russians are about to encircle not just the pocket to the south of the river of Volcha and to the south of the village of Velika Mikhailovka, but also the village of Velika Mikhailovka itself. And it seems that this is exactly what the Russians are trying to create the Velika Mikhailovka cauldron, and then to continue offensive operation further in the direction of Mala Mikhailovka, Gavrilovka, Prasyana, Chaplina, Volodimirovka, Mizhova, and so on. So this is not the Zaporozhye direction, probably it's more the Dnipropetrovsk direction, and the Russians, as we can see, managed to break through this defense layer. As for the original Zaporozhye direction, we are talking about the cities of Olechov, Vozdvizhevka, Guliai-Polska. During the previous 24 hours, we haven't received anything on the matter of changes on the ground, but the Russians continue attacking positions of the armored forces of Ukraine with aviation, with bombs. The Russians continue attacking river crossings and bridges along the river of Konskaya between the cities of Oreshnik and Zaporozhye, preparing themselves and destroying, first of all, destroying the Ukrainian logistic capabilities. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the city of Kostiantynivka. The map has been adjusted once again since the beginning of this morning. This is the end of the 23rd of May of 2026, and this is the moment when everything began. Probably just collapsing from the Ukrainian side. This is the end of the 24th of May. The Russians improved positions significantly along the N20 and N32 roads, and by the end of the 25th of May, we see that the Russians indeed, as a result of clashes, created several cauldrons in the southern and the southeastern parts of the city. The first cauldron was created by Russians in the most southern parts of the settlement. The number of Ukrainian forces that were blocked by Russians is unknown, and the second cauldron was created by Russians through the southeastern parts of the settlement. Probably when talking about both these territories, both cauldrons, we believe that the Russians managed to encircle probably up to 1,000 soldiers or something like this. During the previous 24 hours, lots of videos were published, and based on these videos, we have adjusted the map. Once again, these are the changes between the dates, and probably this one. This video is the most important one. In this video, we can see how Ukrainians Ukrainians were attacking and bombing positions of the armed force of the Russian Federation through the city of Kostiantynivka with artillery. A lots of explosions, a lots of artillery strikes were recorded, and most of them were geolocated and added to the map. So according to this video, the Ukrainians were attacking Russians in the central and the western parts of the city. This is the position. These are two more positions, and these are two more positions of the armed force of the Russian Federation that were attacked by Ukrainians. So which means that the situation is very critical one for Ukrainians, and it seems that the central, the southwestern, western, the eastern and the southeastern parts of the city of Kostiantynivka have collapsed completely. In coming days, the Russians most likely will finish the battle for these territories, and then the battle for the northern parts of the city begins. The situation is quite difficult for Ukrainians, as you can see. Meanwhile, the Russians began attacking positions of the armed force of Ukraine on the way towards the settlement of Alexeyevka-Drushkovka, and based on these videos we can make a conclusion that the Russians began preparation of the battle for this area. During the previous nights, this industrial zone was bombed by Russians with aviation. As for the Liman-Slavinsk direction, we haven't received anything, but once again I would like to remind you that according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, the Russians probably by the end of the 10 days ago controlled up to 85% of the city of Liman, but it's almost 10 days past since this statement has been made, and we haven't received anything on the matter of changes. The northern direction, the Russians intensified their offensive operation. The sources reported that there are very heavy clashes for the settlement of Granov. The Russians intensified their pressure in this area, trying to force the Ukrainians to fall back. The Ukrainians are trying to bring additional reinforcements and reserves towards the line of combat contact, but the Russians controlled the situation with FPV drones and destroy everything that approaches this area. In these videos we can see attacks carried out by Russians. A bit further to the south, we have more videos from the area of Kazachia Lopon. The Ukrainians are trying to improve their positions and to bring additional forces, but the Russians attack everything that approaches this territory. And as for the territories to the south, the Russians destroyed a warehouse that most likely the Ukrainians were using to store munition for the Kazachia Lopon front line, and the Russians established a total kill zone between the settlements of Lesne and Tserkva and the city of Kharkiv itself. During the previous 24 hours, lots of videos were published how Ukrainians were trying to use this road, but the Russians were attacking everything that was using this bridge and this part of the ring road of the city of Kharkiv. Several days ago, we received a report that Ukrainian authorities, local authorities, closed this part of the road and restricted access to this area. And the distance between this part of MO3 road and positions of Russians is 20 kilometers, which means that the Russians are about to establish complete FPV drone control over the city of Kharkiv, and if Russians are able to establish FPV drone control over the city of Kharkiv, then most likely the situation will become critical. The same things are happening with the city of Sumy. During the previous 24 hours, during the previous days, the Russians destroyed several objects of energy infrastructure. In this video we can see a well-fortified object of energy infrastructure, but the Ukrainians prepared this object of energy infrastructure against attacks with missiles and Gerand drones, but the Ukrainians didn't expect that the Russians were able to cross 60 kilometers with a fiber optic drone and to attack this object, and as a result just of attack with this fiber optic drone, this object of energy infrastructure was completely destroyed. So the situation is like this. The Russians most likely in coming days will make another strike, and they will do this not just because of all these things that were happening during the previous 24 hours and not just due to the Starobilsk. Today another important thing happened on the territory of Russia. The sources reported that the Russians managed to discover a terrorist attack. The FSB prevented a terrorist attack on a gas carrier arriving from Belgium. Security forces discovered magnetic mines attached to the outside of the engine room on board of Oreshniks, which arrived in Ust-Luga, Leningrad Oblast from Antwerp. Experts confirmed that the gas carrier could not have been mined in Russia. The ship was held for 24 hours in Belgium, allegedly due to a strike in the port of Antwerp. So as you can see, somebody used this situation to secretly enter a port infrastructure of Antwerp and to mine this ship. The explosive in each mine on the Belgian vessel weighed approximately 7 kilos. The mined vessels were scheduled to depart from Ust-Luga for Turkey. So most likely somebody was planning to detonate these explosives while Russians were filling these vessels with LNG. And of course, if explosions took place at the same time while filling these vessels with LNG, this could lead to unpredictable consequences, significant damages, and very big explosions, and most likely to complete destruction of the entire Russian gas infrastructure, export infrastructure in this area. And after these things were published, the Russians announced everything that we discussed at the beginning of this video, that the Russian Federation recommends that foreigners leave Kiev as soon as possible. According to the statement, the Russian Federation will strike both decision-making centers and command posts in Ukraine. A total war begins. And that's it for today. The Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye-bye.